Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is hang. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we use this verb. The first way you might hear hang used is to mean to be suspended from above with a lower part dangling free. Now, this definition might be using some words that are a bit unfamiliar, so suspended above. I'm going to use my earring as an example, right? It is attached to my ear. It is suspended, but it's hanging free or it's dangling free. And that's what this first definition is all about. A second way you might hear hang used is to mean to be attached or to attach something to a wall. So someone might talk about hanging a painting in their living room or in a different part of their home, right? All they mean is they're going to attach it to the wall. A third way to use the verb hang is to mean to paste wallpaper to a wall. Might think of this like install. So this is maybe not so commonly used, but maybe if you're into home decorating or construction, you might hear people discuss this and use this verb. Hang wallpaper. You're attaching it to a wall. A fourth way to use the verb hang, um, unfortunately, is a little negative. It's referring to killing someone. And this particular method of killing is done by attaching a rope around one's neck, and then support is removed from one's feet or from below, so that the individual is left suspended from that rope. Their feet are dangling, and this will ultimately kill them. Now, this isn't something we hear all that often in 2021, thank goodness. But in case you're studying history, maybe reading some old stories, old literature, you might see that verb used to describe how a particular individual was killed. You should know that generally, hang is an irregular verb. To make the progressive tense, all you're going to do is add ing to form hanging. The past tense and participle forms of this verb require a spelling change. We're going to change the vowel A to a U and form hung. Okay, now there is one small exception to this, and it's connected back to that fourth definition regarding killing someone. With that particular usage, you will sometimes see people use an ed ending on the verb, okay, but it's only in reference to the act of killing. So you might hear a person was hanged, or a group of individuals were hung, or sorry, were hanged. Again, just a little stylistic difference, and it's only connected to that fourth definition. Now, there are so many different ways to use our verb hang that we're going to focus on different phrasal verbs today. And the first one we'll look at more closely is to hang around. This means to visit or be with someone quite frequently. An example of this might be, is he hanging around good kids? Right? So when it comes time for recess or before school, after school, is this particular individual with kids that are generally well behaved, not getting into a lot of trouble? This example sentence is an example of the a yes or no question in the present progressive or the present continuous. Another phrasal verb you might hear is hang back. This means that someone is not moving forward. They might be staying in one place or area. You can see this in the example sentence, will hang back until the crowd leaves. Okay, so imagine being at a big event, maybe a concert, a sporting event, and you just know, oh, the parking lot is going to be a mess, so we're not going to move forward, move towards the exits. We'll just kind of stay back. until more people leave and it's easier for us to exit as well. Will hang back is an example of the simple future using will. Another phrasal verb is hang by. This ties back to that first definition we looked at. So, again, to dangle or be suspended by some body part. An example of this might be the kids hung by their legs from the monkey bars. Here's an example of the simple past tense. Okay, so we know they have maybe kind of put their legs over the top of a bar and they're suspended, their arms are free, just being silly, playing on a playground. Another phrasal verb you might hear is hang down. Again, this is tying back to that first main definition we looked at earlier, to be suspended from something. An example of this might be his beard hangs down past his chest. Okay, so here one's beard would be attached to their face, their chin, right? And now it's suspended down past this particular individual's chest. This is an example of the simple future. We might be describing a fact here, what this person looked like or presently looks like. Another phrasal verb you might hear is hang from. This means to suspend someone or something from another object. An example of this: an air freshener hangs from her rear view mirror. So we know that the air freshener is attached and is dangling or is suspended from that particular mirror in her car. Hangs from her rearview mirror is another example of the simple present. Another phrasal verb you might hear is hang in. This means to persevere or persist. So we might think of someone continuing on despite something being challenging or being difficult. An example of that: team, we hung in with them until the last minute of play. So this might be a sentence a coach is saying to his or her athletes, and saying, we fought, we persevered, and maybe it was tied, it was very close until that last minute, and probably means that they lost in the last minute. The last phrasal verb on this page we'll look at is hang off. And again, this ties back to our first definition, back to dangling or being suspended. An example of this: the truck is hanging off the overpass. Some sentence is a little scary here. The truck is hanging off is present progressive, right? Maybe there's been a car accident and somehow this truck is partially pushed off the road, off the overpass. So it's connected, maybe the back of it, but the front is dangling over the edge of the overpass. Let's continue looking at some more phrasal verbs. Another one you might hear is to hang on. This is asking someone to wait. An example of this might be the imperative or the command, hang on and I'll transfer your call. Right? So we're just asking someone to wait. You might hear this used when you are a customer in a store. You might ask a question or ask for a particular item. They might say, oh, can you hang on a moment? Right? So they're asking, can you wait? A second way to use the phrasal verb hang on is to reference holding something. An example of this: she hung on tightly while on the amusement ride. Right? So maybe she's grabbing the bar in front of her to make sure she feels safe and secure. Hung on is an example of the simple past tense. The next phrasal verb we'll look at is hang on to. This means to keep possession or control, either of someone or something. An example of this: I've been hanging on to so many photos for years, right? So they're in my possession. I'm not sharing them with others. I am keeping control of them. Another way you might hear this used is at work. Uh, Supervisors, managers, even companies will talk about hanging on to good employees, right? They want to keep them employed, they don't want to lose them to another place of business. The next phrasal verb we'll look at is to hang out. This means to spend time socially. So, this phrasal verb is, I think, pretty common to hear with teenagers and kids. I feel like so many that I speak to when I ask, what do you enjoy? I like hanging out with my friends, right? So, being social with friends, spending time with their friends. An example of this, they hang out on the weekends, right? So here's another simple present sentence. I'm talking about someone's habit or routine. And I think I forgot on the last one, hang on to. I've been hanging on to so many photos is an example of the present perfect progressive. The next phrasal verb we'll look at is to hang over. This can mean to cause something is causing stress or dread. An example of this project has hung over our heads for weeks, right? So they're not looking forward to doing it. Maybe there are difficult parts to it or other challenges. And this project is just causing stress and dread. Oh no, the deadline is coming up. Ugh, right? That sort of feeling. Has hung over is an example of the present perfect. The next phrasal verb we'll look at is hang up. This is used to refer to disconnecting a phone call. An example of this, don't hang up on me, right? So here's another imperative. This is a negative command. I'm telling someone, do not disconnect this phone call. The last phrasal verb we're going to look at today is hang with. This can also mean to spend time socially with a particular group. An example of this, who are you going to hang with at the party? So, which people are you going to talk to, stand near, and interact with? Now, let's take a moment to just look at a few words and phrases connected to our verb hang. And the first word we're going to look at today is the noun hanger. An example of this noun usage is a shaped piece of wood, plastic, or metal that has a hook on the top and that's generally used to hang clothes in a closet. So I've included a picture on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen in case my description is a bit confusing for you. An example of this noun in a sentence. Are there any extra hangers in the closet? Okay. A second way to use the noun hanger is to refer to a person who hangs something. An example of this, did you hire a wallpaper hanger? Okay, so I think that would probably be the most common usage. Is referring to an individual whose job it is to paste wallpaper to walls. The next phrase we're going to look at is to get the hang of something. This is referring to learning how to do something. An example, are you getting the hang of this new technology? Right? You can hear this used all the time in different workplaces regarding different skills, different activities, but someone is asking specifically if you're learning how to do it. Another phrase you might hear is in connection to giving directions. So, if you ask someone, how do I get to this particular place? In their directions, they might say something like, hang a right or hang a left. And all this means is you're making either a right turn or a left turn. Here's an example in a sentence. After you pass the post office, hang a left, right? So again, imagine a series of directions, and they're giving you a landmark. Once you go past that, make a left turn. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.